Before any dollar gets spent on marketing, probably the most important question is, who are we targeting with the marketing? Sellers is what most people will say, but the problem is too many people are trying to market for a deal, market for a seller, right? Put yourself in a different mindset. You're going to market to properties that fit a certain box, right? Fit a certain criteria. Criteria being something you can go sell, right? Whatever that means. Those are the people we market to in order to have conversations and then figure out if there's any motivation there, right? So it's super important to understand what we can gather and figure out from the data, the list building, right? The initial thing that we put together to say, okay, here are our initial targets that we're going after, and what we need the conversation to tell us, right? When you're list building, you have to understand who you're trying to target. It's easiest if you have, this neighborhood, I have a buyer who's looking for this in this neighborhood, right? Then I can build a list that just says, give me every property in that neighborhood that looks like this. Essentially what the list building and the first step of it is figuring out what properties the seller might be able to sell in a situation that works for you, right? So what does that mean? Really simply, do they have the ability? Okay, so if you're looking for a house that has not been rehabbed, that was built after a certain year, and you're looking for it for a certain value, right? Let's call it $180,000, and the person has a $220,000 mortgage on it, they don't have the ability to do that deal without them putting money into it. So if it's in a situation or an area where you don't believe that's gonna happen, then that's not somebody we wanna target, right? So that we can gather from the data, right? Are they even in a situation where that will work for us? The marketing is just about finding those situations that'll work and then figuring out who you can actually talk to, right? Figuring out where the motivation is. So if you're marketing to try and find a seller, you're missing the point. You're marketing already knowing that the people you're reaching out to should be in a situation where you can make a deal happen. That's the list building piece. The phone call isn't about any of that. The phone call is about, what do they want? What are they looking for? What will make them want to sell that property? Do they need to sell it now? Do they need to sell it 6 months from now? What's the real situation, right? That's why the call, remembering why you're on the phone with the person, is so important. I already know everything I need to know about the property. You can go find all that in the data. When was it built? Who has the mortgage? What's the percentage APR on it? I can figure out from the numbers what their monthly payment likely is, right? You can assume some of this stuff. It's not gonna be accurate, but you can get pretty close. That's all in the data. None of that matters. I've already figured all that out by the time I'm even reaching out to them, let alone they respond to the marketing, right? By the time they respond, now it's about the conversation with the person. Hey, what's going on? How are things? You called me back. Wow, are you looking to sell? Again, it's about the person in the conversation with them now that we have gotten them to respond to the marketing. Too many people kind of put that into the same piece. It's two different pieces, right? The marketing is just about getting the hand to raise. As soon as they raise their hand and say, I want to talk more, yes, what is this about? Now it's about moving that conversation. Now it's about trying to connect with them. The marketing, the direct mail, the cold call, the texting, the Facebook advertising, Facebook's, social, all that stuff's a little bit different, right? Because you may have them fill out a form. They're now indicating taking action on something. Your outbound marketing, all you want is a hand to get raised. All you want is hey, let's talk further, right? You don't need to do a deal on that. When you remember that, then it changes the way you pull lists and it changes the way you send any kind of outbound communication to them, right? You can now get targeted down to say, okay, in this marketing, in this campaign that I'm doing, I'm looking for this number of bedrooms, this number of bath, built after this year, with a mortgage that's at this date or before, so it hasn't been refied. It's not a brand new mortgage that I know I can't do anything with. These are little factors I could put together in the list, and now instead of, oh, I have to pull 10,000 and blast these 10,000, I have 1,000 that I know these properties meet the criteria I'm looking for, and I can just continue to hit them over and over again. This is where your marketing gets deadly, because when the average person is trying to get through a larger list, and it's gonna take them 6 to 8 weeks to reach out to everybody on that list once, I can go to a smaller list, and in 6 to 8 weeks, I can have 6 to 8 touches out to them. So in the same amount of time it may take you to get through an entire list, I may get through a smaller segment of list that's higher probability because I'm drilling down. I may get through that whole list 8 times. Who do you think's getting the deal quicker? If I'm reaching out 8 times to your 1 and I'm doing the reach outs the right way, I'm going to get to the deal before you are. I'm going to get to the sellers that are hardest to get to before you are too, and find the better deals, the real situations where I can make a lot of money. So remember what you're really targeting here. You're targeting properties and then trying to figure out if the seller is in a situation, has enough motivation, has enough distress, whatever the key may be that gets them to move. That's what you're figuring out once you actually talk to them. The marketing itself is just like, hey, this property, give me the seller, let me get on the phone with them. So keep it really simple about what you're targeting in your marketing, how you pull those lists, get super drilled down, and you'll be able to hit them more often, but really you're gonna hit them the right way, right? Because you're saying these are the properties, as long as that seller doesn't change or as long as that situation doesn't change, these are the properties I need to get a hold of. Whether I reach out to them today, whether I'm vending them 10 times from now, 6 months from now, maybe they don't respond to me, it doesn't matter. That's still the seller that I'm gonna try and get in touch with 3 to 6 months from now when I have to cycle back through. So just focus on those smaller segment drill down lists. These are the properties I need to get in touch with the sellers of and market that way. Move yourself into a conversation where now you're having a true seller deal conversation once you already know that their property is kind of in the wheelhouse of what you need in order to fill that order, in order to find that deal that you need for somebody. Maybe it's even your own portfolio you're trying to fill. Whatever the case is, when you market this way and target this way, you're gonna get to the deals quicker. And you're gonna start to have the right conversations with sellers, right? About how you can help them, where the value add is for them, how you can create a deal that works for both of you, instead of just, hey, Mr. Seller, this is your property, yes, sell it to me. Focus on that, get super targeted in how you run this marketing and be smart about it, and you'll see your KPIs will go through the roof, your results will go through the roof, and most importantly, your deals and your profitability is gonna go through the roof.